Seems a little lost, you have to say, because he played it so well in the earlier games that they played. But we are into our third draft now, possibly our final, as EDG again have 3 match points to look for, and IG again go for the anti-thresh bans. EDG respond exact same here with the Gragas and the Cassiopeia bans. But it's not EDG that really have to change something, it's IG, and they ban Rumble is their adaptation away from KaKAO.
Banning Rumble from KaKAO is super, super strange. What are they looking for with the Rumble? But you can see...
The analyst looks very surprised.
The analyst has no idea what to make of this particular ban. Remember, there's no real must-first pick, must-first ban champions. Maybe Kassadin is the champion they're looking for, that they feel there's no answer to. But no, they're just angling for the Maokai.
Yeah, trying to remember, I don't think Maokai has been banned in this series. Maybe against KaKAO, that makes sense as a popular ban against him. EDG stick with their same last ban of the Lulu, and Zzitai's Maokai, I have to say, of all the champions we've seen him on, standard and non-standard, Maokai might be his weakest.
I mean, Maokai is definitely the trademark of the top laner. He replaced Pokemon. That was, of course, his favorite tank in the top lane. He's only played Maokai twice in the LPL. Has been one-on-one. Definitely didn't look like a strict upgrade on the Maokai coming through from Pokemon. KaKAO does default to the Maokai, so I can understand the thought process of taking it away. But with all the champions that kind of wrecked the day still available for both teams, it's just super surprising to see them really overextending for the Maokai pick.
Yeah, and Janna, Rek'Sai are the picks here for EDG, picking up right where they left off after the last few games. That's very comfortable, very strong picks there on their side. So you have to think IG have a plan. The Rumble ban looks so out of place here.
Almost a placeholder.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what champion they misclicked on if that's the case here, but that's the take away from KaKAO. He has played it before here. EDG, though, don't get too shocked. Stick to their same bans here. And IG, they have to come up with something. They probably expect Clearlove to take Rek'Sai, even with the likes of Nunu and Sejuani open. Seems to be the default. You mentioned the Spirit Nidalee game already. KaKAO might be thinking the exact same thing. He's locked it in, and Kid once again is going to go to Kalista.
The Kid defaults to Kalista, but the big story is the Nidalee coming through. Nidalee undid EDG in Game 3 of that series. Game 3 needs to do the same thing again. They've shown the propensity to not respect the Nidalee damage, and the triple kill that Spirit casually got, you know, was one of the things that led to the very early surrender from EDG. EDG need to pick strong lanes, because if they pick weak lanes and KaKAO gets going on the Nidalee, it's game over. Yeah,
and EDG posturing for some fairly aggressive champions now as well. Don't want the Urgot, it seems. I guess with all the lane swaps, that would make sense. It's been a champion that EDG haven't fancied in the early stages of the lane. They'll pick fairly robust laners here. Not going to give everything away, but Gnar and Lucian are their picks away here.
I mean, they're power picks, at least relatively. We expect Gnar to push in Maokai early. Of course, they're about equal in terms of the lane swap. Lucian, a very strong laner, does beat Kalista. Sin is a lane counter to Kalista, but obviously they fill different roles in later game team fights. Leaving the LeBlanc and not locking it in almost feels like they're giving Rookie his shot at the LeBlanc. Remember, in the series, in the quarterfinals, LeBlanc was banned 3 times away from IG, but not picked the one time it was available. They're considering some options. Blind pick Yasuo seems a bit crazy.
It does. I mean, that's, I guess, the hard thing for Rookie. He has to blind pick something here. The Kennen has already been locked in there, so they're going to take Kalista Kennen back into the bottom side. They take their time with their final pick in a last-minute swap back. Rookie is going to blind pick Yasuo.
Yasuo is just a crazy pick. This isn't Lee Sin Yasuo, which IG have run multiple times this season. Nidalee doesn't have any knockups to help. It's only Maokai with the Arcane Smash that provides a knockup, barring the solo knockup coming through from Yasuo. Not a lot of synergy coming through, and you're giving a counter pick to a champion that is honestly not a strong laner anymore after all the base health nerfs, all the shield nerfs. You can pick anything here if you're Pawn. He's just basically choosing between assassins. What an exclamation point if it was the likes of Katarina.
Oh my god, he locks in Fizz. A very old school counter pick to Yasuo, and not nearly the same as it used to be, but this will be quite the matchup here. Fizz versus Yasuo as Pawn takes on Rookie. As a quick side note, I guess, they do have the Fate's Call knockup as well, which will combo in nicely. That's actually a good way to get Yasuo in. I was thinking about it because they was playing a lot of Gragas. I almost expected Rookie to play Yasuo with the Gragas to kind of give that Lee Sin synergy that they played so much of, but it's sort of fallen out of the meta. They have some options here with Kalista as well, but I agree, such a risky blind pick especially.
The Fate's Call synergy is very interesting because, of course, Fate's Call is a knock-up. You can hold them up with the last breath, and during that time, the Slicing Motion will probably apply 3 times, so you could see potentially the CC coming, but it's so gimmicky. It's a blind pick of Yasuo. He had his choice of champions, goes with the Fizz. This is a really interesting game, but carry mode story is the big story from the jungle especially. Carry jungler and a carry mid laner in the likes of Yasuo.
Yeah, we talked about the rookie KaKAO synergy early on in the split. It's going to have to be on display here if they want to carry this game through. We've got Kalista versus Lucian down the bottom as well, so a bit of an adaptation there. And Kitties back on Kennen with Meiko going to have the standard disengage here for the Janna.
I think it's a lot of winning lane matchups on paper coming through from EDG. A lot of weight of form, for example, KaKAO 12-0 now on the season on that Gnar, never been defeated. Strong laning matchups. We see the Lucian coming through from Deft. He's played that champion quite sparingly during the LPL, but definitely has a good laning matchup. It's all on KaKAO. The only way to counter all these lane matchups that should go in the favor on paper of EDG is for KaKAO to have a massive performance on Nidalee.
Yeah, and I mean, him and Rookie have to go off. They've been the big proactive players for this team. Can they do it once again? And especially KaKAO, like you mentioned, just because he has the early game champion. Okay, if Rookie gets himself set up, if KaKAO gets them ahead, he'll find some comfort and maybe be able to push them through towards a slightly later game. But whenever you pick Nidalee as a jungle, you make a very clear statement. I am going to carry this game.
But that's when we've seen the Yasuo. It's been Yasuo Lee Sin just because KaKAO then has the very easy tool to get that snowball in mid, but he doesn't have that option. This is so much harder to set up the picks onto Pawn, and Pawn, of course, has the playful tricks to hop away. They've thrown out a gambit, and they need to win this game if they want to go to finals, so good luck to them. I hope they're on comfort because it's a difficult champion select coming through for IG.
Yeah, and we do have a pause here, of course, but as well, again, take a little bit longer than we'd like to maybe get into the action, but you're right here. The one thing it is for Rookie is comfort here. He's played this champion a million times. He's got so many competitive plays on it. It is their last potential game here, so IG reaching deep into the back pocket, and out of it comes Yasuo for Rookie.
It's not Yasuo-centric comp. That's probably the surprise, is that it's not, you know, the Malphite, Maokai, million knock-up synergies. It's only the one gimmicky Fate's Call into the self-knock-up. But the Arcane Smash, of course, a very reliable tool, an AoE knock-up that's deceptively strong coming through from the Maokai. It's, again, when IG have played best, and especially at the start of the season, it was always about KaKAO and Rookie, the old Katie rolls to arrows duo, setting things up for themselves and really setting up Rookie to carry. And Yasuo can get to that point. There's a reason why we call him a true carry mid laner. But there's so much downside, and the upside is so difficult to engineer. Like it's high skill cap, absolutely. I'm execution focused.
Yeah, I mean,
of all the options, I did not see this one coming.
No, I mean, Rookie putting a lot on his shoulders. You have to think high execution, high risk, but possibly very high reward. That's what IG are looking for here.
Absolutely, and the Maokai. I mean, Maokai and now we might see lane swaps coming through. It's going to be an interesting one-page time.
It is indeed. We're going to see what happens with Rookie's Yasuo and the rest of IG as they're now up against the wall in Game 3. And we're on to the Rift here for our third game here as EDG are up 2-0 and have 3 chances to take this series away. But of course, if they can, they'd love to get it done here. And Rookie, he's reached deep into his champion pool and pulled out Yasuo in a meta where, honestly, we have not seen Yasuo in a long, long time.
I mean, Zzitai only played it once in 44 games of the regular season. Actually add on, I believe, another 6 games in the relegation playoffs, so had plenty of options to pick it. One of the best Yasuo players in the world. Not locking in. Rookie's played it multiple times, but to mixed success. It's led to a lot of amazing moments, a lot of synergies. He's very practiced on this champion. Lee Sin Yasuo, I believe, was the combo in all the previous Yasuo games, and instead they've just blind-picked Yasuo, not necessarily picked a synergistic lineup for it, and looked on Rookie to carry. He's struggled so far this series. I hope the comfort is what brings him into it. If IG have any chance to make it through to just the 4th game, let alone win this series.
And again, Pawn got the counter pick, and his choice was Fizz here as he's going to return with 4 health potions and a crystalline flask as he goes into the mid lane. Fizz can run into some trouble in the early stages. Having a good time there, but all 4 traps down. He's going to rip through the Raptor camp.
Absolutely, and it's on KaKAO from the jungle. Been well held despite some very good pathing in the very early game of our first 2 series. Never been able to take it to the next level, but finally finds himself on that carry champion. Did so much work, did Spirit on the jungle Nidalee in Game 3. Ironically, Game 3 of this series, looking for KaKAO to have a big one.
Yeah, we've had a swap away here from EDG. KaKAO and Clearlove teaming up in the jungle, going to do some of that together. Hopefully EDG don't waddle down to the bottom lane too early. They don't get themselves towered over once again. But in the top lane as well, Deft, of course, going to get some free time by himself. And where is Meiko? Already started to roam.
So we're just clearing wards, as we can see on the minimap. EDG once again initiating the lane swap in what looks, at least on paper, is a good lane matchup. Feels like Samsung Blue style at this point, where Deft was so used to playing in a lane swap, so was Acorn, because that was basically Samsung Blue's way to negate any laning disadvantage they had. Deft at that point considered a poor laner by international standards. Not really been the case this season. There's been plenty of 2v2 between Deft and Meiko against other lanes, but once again, not opting into that.
Yeah, warding in the blue buff does get taken away, and Clearlove narrowly dodges the spear. They have some vision here. They've got a good trinket down, but KaKAO can only get some poke in, so EDG's attempted buff steal does go amiss there.
So Nidalee still has a very fast dragon clear, so they could still hope to use that in this situation. They are controlling the bottom side of the map with 4 members who have mostly been pathing around the bottom side. Of course, the duo lane's in top, so plenty of time to go for dragons, but they've got the early dragon in both games so far, and that hasn't led to any results for IG. It was close to in the first game when they had the 4th, were well on their way to the 5th dragon before the big backdoor came through from KaKAO. IG need to do something different. We're going to have to watch this mid laner. That's the interesting matchup.
Yeah, and down the bottom, Kid and Kitties are pushing in aggressively. I like the responding pressure here, knowing that EDG are in the top side with their lane swap, looking to maybe end it quickly and just take over. KaKAO's already on top of the dragon. That's safe already in pawn. That was a lovely dodge.
Very nice. Mechanics coming through. You're right. Nidalee and Maokai have pathed over to this dragon. Should be able to pick it up without any potential of a counter. If they go for the fast push strategy here, maybe they're just looking for Nidalee to be able to gank lanes that don't have a turret to back away. Because, of course, the first spear hits, has so many gap closes over a long lane, should be able to get the damage done, has very high base damages if you're hitting your abilities. But Kitties is roamed to mid. Pawn's only level 4. It's still going to be maxing his playful tricks. It's on a relatively long cooldown, but Kennen doesn't feel like he has any options to gank that lane yet.
Yeah, and Deft starting to push down as well on the top side. Going to get more solo experience, of course, and eventually be able to take out the turret. It's about 60% health right now. IG working on their bottom side. Haven't taken it quite yet, but shouldn't be too much longer as Clearlove takes away a smart camp here. Just going to counter jungle the wolves away. And
sometimes we're not really able to tell whether they're looking for a fast push, if they're just looking to push in to cause the reset and get a more deep freeze going on. It's not always clear. Zzitai is going to find multiple members.
Yeah, Tremor Sense comes in, but Clearlove can't land the knock-up. KaKAO will bounce forward there as well, and Zzitai walking to the top side of the map almost gets himself killed, but EDG maybe thinking of diving and then going for a push might hold off on that option just for now.
It was quite aggressive pathing from Zzitai. Of course, EDG, KaKAO, and Clearlove were punished in the previous game under their own turret to open up a 2-kill advantage for IG. Doesn't happen in this situation. Baits out the Unburrow coming through and doesn't able to register that. As we continue to watch bottom, and Kid, yep, seems like the freeze is on from Kalista.
Yep, so all their early pressure, maybe just giving IG space in the bottom side to get the dragon, but they've taken it away. They'll slow the game down just a little bit more and keep moving in towards their first key items here. And again, in the mid lane, it's been pretty back and forth, and there have been so many people for both sides in the area trying to get a grip on the lane, but it's been fairly even so far. Rookie, in fact, has a very slight CS lead.
Actually forcing Pawn to back. Doesn't have gold for a Sheen. I'm always looking for 1,200 gold in the inventory right now. It's Fizz who does more naturally build up the Sheen than
Kassadin.
The Kassadin, which was very interesting in this previous game. But IG using their pressure advantage they've had at the bottom lane. Remember, they've been vertically jungling, so they've had the control of this bottom side. They've already taken away the dragon, so happily picking up the Gromp. And Gnar's still jungling, still hasn't been able to find a lane. In fact, both top laners very much been out of lane. Yeah,
you'll notice the nice thing there, actually. It was KaKAO gifting the Grump over to Zzitai that actually got him to level 3. So an extended jungle follow here for both sides here. They might even look to go in to invade some buffs here. Once again, you can see EDG can look for the Grump this time for themselves here. Probably going to be Clearlove that takes it away for his 5th level here, but lots of that being shared. And again, as a result, we've isolated the mid lane. Pawn returns with double Dorans, but Yasuo on the way with the crit does have an Avarice Blade and a dagger.
You can see that he has quite a lot of confidence though, Pesham. You don't normally go for Avarice Blade unless you feel that the laning phase has been going comfortably. And with him 10 CS up, not even with a lot of regen being needed, this is supposed to be a counter pick coming through from Pawn, but the early laning phase has been very confident for Rookie.
Yeah, we saw him with the LeBlanc return with the double Dorans after the Flask and get aggressive. Might look to do the same thing here, but We'll see if that hurts Rookie at all, as Deft in the top side now, going to get some farm on. Meiko will rejoin him, possibly looking to push down that turret, and Kalista still pretty deep in that bottom side of the map. I think EDG want to start breaking this map up and swap back down before that second dragon comes back.
That does seem to be the case. They were pushing in to see whether the jungle follow would come through and answer for the minion push in top, but no, happily Nidalee and Maokai not opting to go anywhere near this turret. Already seen multiple members, 4 members are jungling on that side of the map, and they respect that.
Yeah, no refreeze there either, so EDG will back away and look to swap back down. Might even save their turret here. I think IG might want to put their foot on the gas in the duo lane and try and equalize in the turret advantage, but Rookie getting free farm, that's the important thing for him, and still, again, totally fine against the Fizz so far.
Able to steal away the second blue buff from EDG. That's an advantage that won't go to Pawn. If Pawn wants to go and pick up the enemy blue buff, we'll have to step away from Dragon, so potentially they might be able to open up a bit of Dragon pressure from Pawn, just looking for a blue buff. But he has a flask, and his mana regen is pretty good.
Yeah, KaKAO coming into the bottom side, though. EDG have maybe returned too early. Culling actually goes in and chunks KaKAO quite nicely here, but EDG can't really defend just solo. Clearlove's coming down as well, but Tower will go down just in time. A nice rotation there from the rest of IG. Secures themselves the turret trade.
It's a good trade. So it's only a trade of turrets, not much else to speak about. One small objective in the advantage of IG is the first dragon, and to a lesser degree, the blue buff steal that's come through. Blue buff just now respawning for IG, but they haven't been able to pick that up. Either EDG or IG. They have not contested the second blue.
No, not yet, as Pawn going to get aggressive there in the mid lane as well. Does dive onto Rookie for a bit of trade damage, but at this point, yes, we're not interested in trading, just wants to farm up.
He's happy to. He's got the Avarice Blade. That tips his hand and tells you that he's just looking to farm, not interested in engaging. And if you cannot punish an investment banking approach like going for that Avarice Blade, you give Rookie a faster clear time towards that Avarice Blade, sorry, towards the Static Shiv, and just getting really into this lane matchup.
I'd be curious to see when he does get that, what IG want to do with the Yasuo. Are they going to look to split push him? Maybe they'll go for team fights, and we might have an answer soon here. Dragon up in 50 seconds or so as Deft and Meiko, with Kitties absent so far on the Kennen, pushing aggressively here. Turret in the bottom lane already at about 50% health.
They're rotating and pushing very, very quickly. They do have the double globals because, of course, Rek'Sai has the Void Rush for a pseudo-global ability. They have someone like Fizz, who's happy to be on split push duty, naturally builds into the Lich Bane for good turret damage. Not quite the Twisted Fate, but still able to really impact other lanes.
The Pawn getting aggressive. Good minion in the back there. He's able to Urchin strike to safety with KaKAO lurking in the area. This is one thing about Fizz. You do have to use either your passive aggressively to pull the waves off, as KaKAO in the top side going to go in. Clearlove will join in onto Zzitai. You know he wants to get aggressive here again, but KaKAO hasn't quite transformed. They're taking too much burst damage. We'll finally get to Mega Knives. Hit 6 as well, but Clearlove found KaKAO in the jungle as well. Does do a bit of battle. Pawn now going to look to dive in there as well. On top of Rookie, that's going to force the flash. KaKAO throws out the spear, but doesn't find an EDG, continuing to pressure the top side of the map.
You see the trades now finally going landslide into Pawn's advantage. The burst trades very much suiting the Assassin Fizz compared to Yasuo. Big trades in bottom, though.
Yeah, Kitties gets knocked up. Fade's call force there as Kid will get his support to safety, but that might mean the turret in the bottom side goes down here. Deft and Meiko are going to try and push as fast as they can.
They don't have much mana on Deft, importantly, so cannot use the spell rotations for the passive, and thus even more turret pushing advantage. But the turret's already low. Finally, enough mana for the first Pierce Knight there, but they back away. They're doing this dragon without the mana, knowing that everyone has to shop from IG, so they're going to answer the first dragon.
Yeah, smart stuff here from EDG, and finally get themselves a first dragon before IG can claim their second. It's been, again, solid play for EDG, getting aggressive, but it's calculated aggression. They're not going over the top, just looking for their little windows there. And again, with IG's top side especially having to farm up for quite a while, they've picked very smart spots to get aggressive in.
I feel like in general, EDG has gotten a lot more out of their skirmish wins this series than IG. In this situation, they win a skirmish down bottom, and despite the fact that Fizz hasn't shopped, just goes back now and spends 1,600 gold on Needless Large Rod, despite the fact that Deft had no mana, they time their skirmishes smartly enough that they get the uncontested objective. It's consistently been the situation that EDG have picked up the objective, and IG have won trades, but just not been able to pick up any sort of big sustainable advantage in a meta where objective snowball is the name of the game.
And it's lovely to watch EDG play. Clearlove especially has always been good at that sort of skirmish play, so it's almost a natural extension of his team. Pawn as well, actually, I think plays that way quite well. And, you know, they've definitely added more to their style, added new players as well, and there's new dimensions to this team. But at the core of it, it stays the same, and they are very good in these small trades and seem to always snowball them into big mid-game wins especially.
even without Corki in the meta, still going for that rotational turret killing play. The Nunu is usually the tip of the hand. Nunu Jinx is definitely their substitute for Corki, who's fallen out of the meta with the tanks coming through. Not that good at shredding the Cinder Hulk members. KaKAO and Zzitai happily trading the top lane, but there's the Nidalee, but won't be able to chase.
Cute hop there from KaKAO, gets out from over the Maokai. Actually going in maybe too aggressive. Clearlove in the area does have a tunnel relatively close, but they'll actually back away there as Fizz again has left the lane. And this seems to be a consistent story for the mid lane here. Rookie winning in CS this time, so farming up nicely, but not able to provide the same roam pressure as Clearlove. Eats a spear and pawn every time he leaves lane. IG just too scared to do anything aggressive.
Just tracking back on KaKAO's previous Nidalee games, has had carry performance on Nidalee, but it hasn't been like Spirit, who's been getting all that carrying done in the early game. In fact, KaKAO, often it's been about the late game Nidalee play. Actually won a game off his own back with a massive triple kill on Nidalee. In this situation, I believe that was against World Elite in the new lineup. There's the solo.
Good fish landing in there. Doesn't knock up Rookie, though. He's untargetable during last breath, and Pawn has to back away. Dodges the spear and Playful Trickster's out. Very cute, but Rookie starting to win some trades.
Rookie winning trades despite not itemizing for lane. Second turret going to go down for EDG. Turret killing game. It's only 2-1 advantage, but wherever Deft enters lane, he takes down the turret first.
And you mentioned that Corki there coming through as a big rotational pick. I actually think that Jinx, while yes, can perform a very similar role, obviously plays quite differently. I think the best Corki substitute's actually Lucian, and it makes sense why Deft's been leaving the lane and rotating just to pick up outer turrets again.
I think it's worth a conversation. Usually if you're going Bloodthirster, which is what Vasily was defaulting to in week 8 or 9 of the LPL, that definitely tips your hand that it's a rotational Lucian. But you're right, the turret damage from Lucian is massive. Lucian and Jungle Gragas have a lot of synergies. Zzitai probably just going for a burst trade in this situation. But I mean, Gragas, of course, just use that explosive cast, get someone off the turret, leave Deft a couple of spell rotations, and it will be a dead turret. In this situation, don't have the best siege because so many melee champions. Samsung White always found themselves in similar positions because Pawn loves the Fizz. Suddenly, the wave clear, it's all about Lucian.
Yeah, and I actually love that play from KaKAO, just getting aggressive with the ultimate, knowing that his rage is running out, and it's probably not going to need it for a major fight. No Dragon up right now, both teams sitting square on that objective. Actually dead even in gold as well, despite the slight turret lead there for EDG. So Rookie's average play doing some work here, now has a Vampiric Scepter as well, still 10 CS ahead of this Fizz. Pawn is building up towards his first major item. Is that? No, it's not. It's not Luden's Echo Fizz?
It's definitely not Luden's
Okay.
Echo. There's no Aether Wisp,
That's
of course.
true.
Doesn't build out a cooldown reduction, builds out that movement speed amp tone recipe item. I guess it's probably going to be 20% CDR into a Needless Large Rod item, but this is what Pawn has done all series. He's been using his gold effectively. 1,200 gold back, bought a Sheen. It changed the game. And this game had 1,800 gold. Just happily bought the Needless Large Rod into a few wards, and it just has the increased wave clear. So he's been playing very much an AD carry focused mindset in the mid lane. Usually AD carries, why do you build Static Shiv over Phantom Dances? Oh, because I had 800 gold and Avarice Blade was the obvious pickup. In this situation, he's really approaching things the same way, getting the maximum amount out of his purchases.
Yeah, and does make sense. We did see him actually in Game 2, of course, my forgetful brain. He built the ADC Large Rod, then went into his Athene. So, again, just sort of doing a bit of thrift shopping there, which, like you mentioned, certainly was at least a trait of Chinese AD carries, actually. It's one of their big things. So, borrowing maybe that regionally there coming through. We have the IE done for Deft now as well, though, so starting to power up. And Kid needs to go spend some of his gold if he has some there, kind of looking for his next major item. Does seem to have a bit of a bank stored up there, but right now, again, splitting the difference. Got the BF Sword and the Recurve Bow plus Berserker Greaves. So probably Hurricane first if I had to guess, but should have both items done fairly quickly.
Awkwardly, that was his last shot page time, was spending all his gold on a Recurve Bow and a dagger, cutting his losses between two big purchases. Again, I've mentioned a few times, I'm not a big fan of this approach just because they're already losing in the rotations. Deft obviously is outlaning Kid because he's managed to take turrets under his nose multiple times before having any completed items, whether it's the lane control of the Bloodthirster or the Hurricane for team fighting. It just doesn't really help him in any opportunity, either burst trade or a team fight or in laning. He's struggling against Deft on this Lucian.
Yeah, who's still ahead in CS there as well by about 10 or 15 here as EDG looking to get some vision in the area down the bottom side of the map. Dragon is back in 22 seconds, so makes sense why they're looking to get an advantage right now. Fizz is also rotated to the bottom side, so he's also in the area, but maybe going to push out and get annoying in the bottom half of the map as well. IG looking good, rotating into the mid lane, just trying to get some pressure back, but EDG rotate back in to protect their turret.
Rotation still suiting EDG. There's good poke coming through from Nidalee. She's the only poke champion on the lineup, of course. We do have a melee range mid laner. IG just clearing waves, not really pressuring EDG at all. You don't know if there's really a big advantage for him in the late game. Maybe you'd give the nose ahead to Yasuo over Fizz in terms of extended team fight. Has a bit more AoE damage, has that big armor penetration buff with the last breath that really negates any itemization choices. But it's a very low magic damage lineup. I mean, KaKAO, I guess, doing his best AP carry from the jungle, and with that Nidalee rod, those spears already are hitting pretty hard.
Yeah, and he's got Magus as well. We've actually seen Nidalee's go towards the Cinderhulk. Even if they're going for something like the Seraph Series, KaKAO just hops away there again, trading there with Zzitai. Both top laners looking for traction. They have their teleports ready to go, but crucially, KaKAO can only cancel Zzetai's in Mega Gnar.
Zhonya's is going to be the purchase for pawn. Isn't completed. A lot of members with items not completed. Only real big recipe completion is Deft with the Infinity Edge. That's the biggest one-item power spike on the Rift at this present point, as everyone else just shopping towards what will be impressive inventories in 5 to 10 minutes time.
And again, we've seen EDG or IG actually not rush for this next dragon. They know everybody's available. They want to make sure they get the good team fight. It's one thing to lose the dragon. It's another to lose the dragon or go into contest, have 3 people die, and then be like, well, we lost everything.
Honestly, they're off the back of a Magus, Nidalee, Rod, Nidalee. Just start the poke. Wait till that big spear registers on a priority target, then start for the objective. I have no objection to the route they're taking. And it also buys more time for Kid to start to farm towards that big purchase. Because again, stuck between 2 items that would definitely launch him into relevancy, but right now cannot stand up to Deft on Lucian.
No, even if he has the gold, just can't really afford to go back. Needs to keep applying pressure. Is getting some good damage done in the mid side. They're pushing the waves in, but Tower very well protected right now. Deft able to pretty easily clear that out of the way. Rookie has come down level 11 now, although no major shops. Just recently here as he's looking for possibly Blade of the Ruined King, possibly Bloodthirsters. We'll have to see what he wants, but he's got quite a few long swords at this present point. And again, Kid and Kitty sticking in the middle. KaKAO also going to look for some poke. People are going back to shop for EDG, and they seem to have staggered their backs well enough that they'll be able to come back to this dragon with their gold spent.
To let you know how good the staggering has been, Pawn's actually gone for 2 shops during this long dragon stalemate. Had just the parts of the Zhonya's, now just gone back, completed that item. No rush for boots on the Fizz. He was looking for a bit of split pushing, forcing Yasuo to react. Maybe this is a slight moment to start the dragon as they know Yasuo has a big wave to clear out, but it's going to keep rotating.
Seem to want the mid turret here is their big thing as the culling does come through, but Kalista a pretty slippery target. No hits really registering there for Deft at all. Rookie now again free farming in the bottom side, so he's going to get collapsed on, but KaKAO in his back pocket here ready to fight. Oh no, he backs off. Now Clearlove and Pawn going to come through. Can they get on top of the Yasuo? But Rookie, he has to know that they're coming for him.
Exactly. There's just too much risk. There's no point of split push in this situation when you have absolutely no defensive ward coverage. Not even a cheeky ward around your red buff to see people pathing through mid lane. You have to respect it. He's already pushed out probably 1 wave too much in terms of safe farm, and he will not be punished.
No, Yasuo will go back. Bilgewater Cutlass is the item, so makes sense, of course. What he wanted to build into the Cutlass is going to go for Blade, and Clearlove has started off the Dragon. Pawn's going to come through as well. Kitties will walk over and find a ward in there, so now knows what's up, but going to be tricky for him to steal the Dragon. That should go to EDG and does.
But they get it without Lucian being present. It looked like they might have actually gone for a very risky Dragon in that situation if IG had collapsed, but there was no way they could have had enough information to know that that was actually the Dragon they should have been contesting. So stolen away by Clearlove.
Clever stuff there from EDG. Very patient around their vision. They were honestly in mid lane just fighting off a siege for about 3 to 4 minutes, and all of a sudden they've staggered their backs. They've got stronger. Never let IG breathe, honestly, around the Dragon area. Almost take it out from under their nose here. And again, it's still a very even game, but now EDG find themselves with a Dragon lead.
I think patience is the right thing because there's been no kills in 21 minutes. This has been a very crazy strategic game coming through. Teams both getting advantages. It is 2-1 in Dragons, and there's been 3 turrets going down, but no kills whatsoever.
And Deft is getting so strong on the Lucian. Has a Zeal now, plus the pickaxe on the longsword. Might look to finish the last Whisper early just for cost effectiveness, but has lots of strength right now. I think, again, EDG were gearing up for an eventual Dragon fight, but crazy to think that we haven't had first blood yet. And unfortunately for IG, last time this game happened to them, they eventually ended up losing after just a couple key team fights.
I wonder what the last Whisper rush is being forced by. There's no armor being purchased whatsoever. Of course, Zzitai will eventually work his way towards a Frozen Heart at minimum, but no armor purchases, but still not looking to pick up the critical strike, not looking to work towards a very fast Phantom Dance.
Yeah, no major armor choices, so I wonder what Deft wants to do. Again, I assume when he went back, it's just like, again, I can spend my money. I'm going to get power right now when I need it in the mid-game, but neither team wants to blink here. We talk about patience. Both teams have been in a standoff here after the laning phase. No one found an early lead. Even KaKAO is just happy to farm up on the Nidalee and get to the later stages where Pope becomes really relevant. Honestly, that probably favors IG because they do need to get Yasuo to a good 2, possibly even 3 item spike before he really gets going.
I feel like Nidalee's had so much immediate power. It's been sitting on Tia, Nidalee, and Magus for a good 5-6 minutes, but not been able to do anything with it. Lost the Dragon, in fact, after they got out-rotated by EDG. It will reach a point where you can look at these inventories. 2 Giant Spells in the inventory. They're stacking health and armor coming through. There will come a point where the Nidalee damage will fall off. Aegis eventually will be completed. Magic has already started by Meiko. You need to take your windows when you have them, and I feel like a power jump as big as Nidalee Magus, which Magus, of course, a lot of laners would love to opt into 20% CDR and 80 AP very early in the game. It feels like that time has been passed, and it's certainly not Spirit and 502 at 12 minutes. 23 minutes in, no kill involvements for a Nidalee. Doesn't bode well for jungle carry play.
No, this is very indicative of KaKAO's earlier Nidalee games in the regular season. And, you know, he played them slow, but he got leads. He built advantages and basically never let a team out from under his pressure once he started snowballing. He does like to farm up, play a bit more patiently on the jungler, it seems like, versus Spirit, who goes all out to really carry in the early stages of the game. Even now going back and picked up a Zhonya, says KaKAO, but I agree. They need to push something here to IG. Otherwise, they're going to find themselves who have had such good dragon control over the series, at least up until a point, behind on the objectives that they've actually been able to contest in these games.
And the big question is, where does the scaling advantage actually fall? You look at these comps, they're very similar in terms of power. We mentioned Yasuo versus Fizz, maybe marginally in the advantage of Yasuo, but it makes armor even better purchase coming through from EDG. In general, the other lane matchups very similar in general. The fish has actually been used.
Yeah, finally a fight in the bottom side. KaKAO actually going in. Ozon is there from Pawn, who's going to try and sneak out of the way. Kitties is here as well. Damage comes soon. KaKAO finally gets the first blood as Zzitai teleports in, but there's nothing else to grab.
Yeah, a couple of critical strikes actually picking up that kill. And the chase is on KaKAO. KaKAO has a lot of damage, but the spear does not register.
Yeah, KaKAO already has a Warmog, so going to be a bit tricky to pounce through all of that here, as we've even got the Spectres Cal in there as well. EDG, honestly, if they can get the turret here, they'll happily trade their mid laner.
I mean, it's only Kitties, only to support Kennen. They're respecting Zzitai and potential multiple members in the river because they don't have any defensive wards to see Rookie coming in.
Yeah, Rookie rolls in there as well, and Pawn must have thought he was safe there with the Playful Trickster with likely 5 points in it already, and the zone is done. Plus, some cooldown reduction at least. I believe just went back and got the Morello Nomicon, so completed that now as well. Probably felt fine there, but got locked down, caught out of position on Fizz, and at 24 minutes in, we finally get our first blood.
It is only 24 minutes. Late for first blood, but means that Fizz will be able to rejoin. So even though this turret's at half health, they cannot engage.
They are going in to fight. KaKAO, massive ulti gets Kitties in there. Clearlove going to come in as well. But the knock-up there, Fate's Call's been used. Knock-up though not there as Meiko resets. KaKAO has been caught up by Pawn, and Clearlove gets the first kill onto Kitties. Zzitai going to get aggressed on as well as Kids trying to get a Renset, but doesn't have anyone squishy to go onto. Deft cutting back there. Rookie going to get knocked up and taken out by the Lucian. Now the Maokai diving back in, but it's just for his own death here. KaKAO trying to weave a spear in, but EDG, after getting first blood, answer back 3-0, and look where we're going. It's the Baron Pit.
Deft is already so powerful with that early last whisper, cancelling out the Glacial Shroud pickup from Maokai. Pawn got there late, which should have been a problem, but he ran straight at the Nidalee, ensured that Nidalee did no damage during the whole fight. We always talk about the fact that Nidalee on the offense, really strong, but on the defense, not so much. Kid seeing Rensets, though.
Oh, he's coming in. KaKAO's actually found a good spear there coming through. The Dragon getting low. The Baron, sorry, gets low and does get taken out by Pawn. KaKAO does die in there as well. No trades, actually, miraculously for IG, and EDG claim everything.
That was heart-in-your-mouth action. That Baron fell down to 86 health before Pawn was able to snipe it away. So close there for IG. One spear hitting, the first Renset coming through. We will be talking about 3-4 kills potentially for Kid. But that's the difference, is that it doesn't happen, and now EDG have a Baron, their mid-game Baron they always look for.
Yeah, as I said, they got a couple kills and ran straight to Baron around the 25-minute mark. Seems to be the thing they love to do recently. IG, again, plenty of power here. Kalista had the 2 items, but just not as strong as this Lucian, who's now also added the Phantom Dancer there as well. EDG going to move in and claim their 3rd dragon. You have to think, in with the Baron buff there, I don't know if IG can afford to contest this.
Deft is so strong at this point. The sad thing for Maokai, who has the right to score and a bit of cost-effective armor against a 3-item, holy triumvirate of items coming here. The most maximum physical damage to a single target, Infinity Edge, Phantom Dancer, Last Whisper. No one can stand up to Deft.
KaKAO coming in as well. He's super tanky on the Gnar, and Zzitai going to get poked out here. Baron up minions doing good work as well, and KaKAO in the mini now form terrorizes
multiple members
2
on
IG
the top
members.
side of the turret. He's going to lose his turret for free.
Yeah, turret's gone down here. Deft's not even there. He's actually in the mid lane taking another turret here as EDG push themselves to 5 turrets to 2. Deft still pushing through. EDG might look to rotate for a siege down the bottom once more, and KaKAO, he's already put the mending wave in there. Kid will help clear it out. Rookie not too bad with his powered up Qs as well, but Deft started tanking the turret there and chunks out KaKAO. Cullen goes out. The Zonies is good. We'll keep him safe for now, but EDG going to barrel through these turrets.
KaKAO and Kid were desperately poor, both of them on the top side of the map as they watched multiple turrets go down. Now we see the siege coming through. Not the best siege potential coming through from EDG. Good damage to turrets, but KaKAO, his main job is to just block skill shots in front of that tank minion.
Unfortunately, can't block the line there from Rookie with the Q, so does go down, but he's brought another one here as well. Again, in the Mega Gnar form especially, just going to body block what he can. EDG at least getting some turret damage does help, because like you said, not very good in any sort of siege, so need to break the base now if they can.
Just desperately poor rotations coming through base. I'm so surprised they were both on the top side of the map against Baron, with no defensive vision down for any possible aggressive rotations from EDG. They were caught napping, and they've lost basically all of their outer turrets. Now Clearlove can happily go top, start to push in this wave, has the Void Rush to meet a fight, and it doesn't help the fact that IG have been able to pick up CS. Blade the Ruined King's now been finished on Rookie. Rookie's been involved in 1 kill, and there might not be another one this game, and EDG could still win it.
Yeah, a 6-kill game so far has been very quiet, but again, IG, they were on the receiving end of this against Vici. Had a quiet game, never did really anything proactive, and a couple lost team fights there for IG. And that's the thing, when you start losing fights at 25 minutes, when the team fights don't come till that late, everyone's so powered up that you lose even more than you'd expect, I think, in that situation, just because we saw it. Deft with 3, now almost 4 items at that point. EDG got a couple kills, and then Baron and 2 turrets and possibly more as Zzitai got out there as well. Does get away there with the Twisted Advance plus the flash, and he's safe for now.
That's big culling damage coming out already. That's an extra BF sword on top of the 3 items. In general for EDG, the big thing that's interested me here, Pastry Time, is that they haven't played their usual speed. Of course, they're always about rotating with the likes of the Jinx Nunu, with the likes of the Corki, and picking up early objectives, but the engage.
Yeah, Kitties going in there trying to make it happen, but does actually get Spades called out. IG trying to be proactive again. The poke does register onto Meiko. KaKAO stalking his prey there through the junglers. Clearlove's been a slightly caught out of position, but will tunnel himself to safety. KaKAO now forced to use the Zonies as EDG look to re-engage. A good win wall there from Rookie will keep them safe, but damage coming through. Pawn will happily dive if he sees a good opportunity, and Deft, he is not stopping the push.
Yeah, Pawn doesn't have the ultimate, but EDG going to keep looking for that turret damage. They can get multiple members away, but no, Nidalee, of course, high AP means high sustain as well. They have to back away.
Yeah, Baron buff dropping off here as well, I believe. Not too much longer left on it there for EDG as they're going to look to rotate once again. Looks like they might just do a bit of shopping here. Do need to spend some of the gold that they've accrued, and, 2 turrets, not ideal here for IG, but probably happy to not lose an inhibitor turret in that situation.
It's the story of 2 teams with very low wave clear coming through. Another game where we talk about Yasuo, decent melee range wave clear. Maokai, decent wave clear for a tank, but of course not building the Rod of Ages for any extra ability power and extra wave clear. Kalista, if she can have her way with a wave, absolutely can get the most depressing of rend sets, the rend sets on the minion that notes you a bit of gold, but isn't the kills you're going to want to pick up. And EDG, they've got Fizz in the mid lane, obviously has melee range wave clear, and yeah, the Lucian that can get wave clear down. Both these teams so much better at turret damage than anything else. As
Kitties just gets evaporated there. Now KaKAO going to get chased out as well. Culling almost going to kill him. He's going to force the heal. Pawn, Flash Fish there looking for a kill, but doesn't find it. But that might just be enough for EDG to push the turret.
Insane damage. Almost got culled from full health there than Nidalee, even with an armor item. That will be at least the inhibitor for EDG.
Yeah, base has been broken here, and again, Zzitai in the top lane on Maokai with no teleport, just letting his turrets fall down. Deft, he can smell blood here. He wants more kills. He thinks he maybe agrees with some people watching at home, saying there's not been enough blood in this game, but EDG, only 5 kills. They might not need much more than this.
It's going to be an ugly VOD review for IG. Just watching these rotations, I don't understand what the Maokai is doing, watching multiple structures fall down. The Kalista and Nidalee being top was a much bigger situation. That's where they lost 2 turrets in situations where they could have avoided it if they were grouped. But this one, just to add on top of that, it's going to be another win condition coming through from EDG. The Dragon in a minute, Baron in 55 seconds. They've got some defensive vision around the blue side, but certainly not as far as Baron. And I just don't know what IG can do to force force this game. They can only look for a Maokai flank teleport into a 5-man last breath. Don't see that coming.
I mean, we'll have to find out here, but Rookie looking towards his Infinity Edge hasn't quite been able to finish that either. Kalista doing a little bit better, building towards that. QSS now has the Hurricane plus the Bloodthirster and the Last Whisper done as well. We can see again Frozen Heart for Zzitai, Void Stuff, Sork Shoes tier plus the Zond is not bad for KaKAO, but it just feels like IG, I don't know if it's necessarily a comp thing or a mindset thing, but it's 3 games in a row now, and this game especially, where IG went from having very strong early games to just being completely subdued by EDG.
Absolutely. They've just been watching EDG rotate and make smart plays. EDG, you definitely watch them and say, okay, they're playing an excellent game. This is how League of Legends should be played. But IG, they're just watching. They're voyeurs almost in this game, pastry time. It's not going to help them win the game. Their big issue here is that Deft is like obscenely massive, 4 AD items at 33 minutes. But they have no way to kill him. How are they going to gap close and assassinate this AD carry, who's just going to be happily doing damage at the back of a fight? Only with a flank and that last breath wombo combo can they hope to kill Deft.
And IG almost desperately run towards the Baron as EDG take the Dragon, but Rek'Sai ultimate's available. There are a couple of tunnels in the area, but he's just going to walk over there at this point in the game. IG are forced to back away just from the presence of the rest of them here, and Smite will be back for Clearlove soon as he had a charge stored as well. EDG actually just reclaim their control over the Baron area, and IG, again, they've started running out of options here because EDG are forcing them away at every turn.
Now they have Kalista reduced to wave clear duty, means she won't be able to visit the Baron, though with Clearlove being chunked out, he's the worst one to chunk out, unfortunately, because A, he's tanky, and B, the Void Rush, he'll be right back soon.
Yeah, doesn't even have the Warmogs, thankfully, for IG, so going to take a little bit more time to regen up, but even going to go back now. Still has his ultimate as well, so can go back now as a Spirit Visage for even more regen there as well. And, of course, using the ulti, like you mentioned, that Void Rush to get back. Does pop it, he'll move back in, and EDG seem to love the Baron buff. They're going to get straight onto it.
Yasuo needs to make something happen. They need to justify this blind pick Yasuo, because he's done literally nothing this whole game. They've only got 2 kills, so it's understandable that he doesn't have any himself, but he's just been an onlooker, and the negative synergy between Nidalee and Yasuo has been super apparent. One of them pokes very well, the other one's only looking for all in. That's why they always run Lee Sin Yasuo. At least both those champions are on the same wavelength.
Oh, actually, Deft could be in trouble. Zzitai in there as well. They're going to come in, but Meiko will peel them away. Deft will flash out of it. Clearlove going to rush back in to protect his AD carry as well as Koro. Zones them all out. Here's Zzitai going to move in. The Mikhails keeps him safe. Pawn, though, diving in onto Kitties, going to zone them out as well. Does actually just get the kill. Koro going massive in the front line as well. And EDG get caught, get 2 kills. Maybe going to be 3 here as Rookie's going to go down. He's forced to flash. Nidalee going to go down here. They'll keep chasing. They'll take out Yasuo as well. And EDG, Baron's up, but they don't need it.
Yeah, no one's tanky against Deft with 4 items so early. Deft's not even grouped yet. They're going to finish off this game. And what I thought would be a tight-knit series was a complete whitewash for Edward Game.
And EDG come back into the form we've seen them in their regular season, taking the series in a sweep, 3-0 versus Invictus Gaming. And IG, a team who we praised for their adaptation and flexibility against Vici, showed up with almost nothing today. EDG just never looked to stop.
Yeah, the playbook must have been empty after that quarterfinal pastry time. Showed so many intelligent adaptations against Vici Gaming that you could have been forgiven thinking, okay, this is the team. They might not have their own core identity, but they'll just adjust and beat teams at their own game. I'm sorry, IG, but EDG, they outthought you, they out-rotated you, they out-picked you, and now they're in the final.
And it wasn't even a big, we're picking huge champions going off, snowballing early games. EDG gave IG the early game that they asked for.
All they picks, though, had a coherent identity. You knew what their win conditions were. You knew how they would rotate and try and take down objectives. IG, in some cases, seemed to understand that for the first 10 minutes, but it all fell away. Was it the shot calling? Was it just the communication? It's hard to see, but Pawn looking happy, still looking a bit sickly, of course. We're not sure how medically cleared he is to play. Probably going to have to be playing in the final, though, based on all his recent exploits. Has 8 days to rest, but the final, EDG's name's already written on the trophy, you'd have to think to some degree.
Yeah, and Rookie rubbing his eyes there as well. Picked one of his favorite champions, a trademark of his in the Yasuo, and just couldn't make it happen. And coming back to the point you made earlier about the Yasuo Lucian and how there's a disconnect between Nidalee and Yasuo, for me it's not even just that they both want to go all in and one wants to poke in that situation. It's like a strategical disconnect as well. Current Yasuo needs to farm so he can go all in effectively and be the big melee carry that we know he can be. Nidalee is all about early game pressure, and KaKAO was like, no, you know what, I'm going to farm with you as well. And then just never applied the pressure that we've seen him do before.
That's the thing. The early game pressure should open up space for the Yasuo to farm. In that situation, absolutely the picks work together well. But if you're going to take a farm approach, 0-0-0 for much of this game does have the only 2 kills his team got, but Spirit showed you how you can use that Nidalee pick so aggressively. Picked up a triple kill, was always involved in turret dives. Instead, they just watched EDG play their own game. Deft showed up at team fights with 3 items, 4 items, depending on how late the game went. And they just had no plan to kill him. They didn't pick to kill an AD carry. But you need Yasuo or a threat that EDG had to respect, and they just had nothing.
Yeah, and unfortunately can't come up with anything, but EDG do push themselves into the final now with that 3-0 sweep, and I guess we're going to close out tonight's broadcast. Our only question is, who are they going to play against? Our semi-final will be here tomorrow as well, of course. LGD taking on Snake. We'll be back with the summer promotion there as well, but for now, for myself, Papa Smithley at the spawn, and our entire live production crew, we'll see you for more LPL action coming up tomorrow.